Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about garden gnomes. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. Legend has it, an underground organization formed in Europe specifically to take lawn gnomes from people's yards and release them into the forest. This group allegedly stole thousands of statues, claiming the gnomes deserved to live in their natural habitat. What do you think? Would people really get involved in a sort of organized crime just to liberate gnome statues? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is gnome. That's Gnome. The word gnome refers to a mythological creature that lives underground and guards the treasures of the earth. The 16th century Swiss alchemist Paracelsus first introduced the term in his scientific treatises regarding earth elements. He categorized the universe into 4 distinct elements and assigned a specific creature to each domain. Paracelsus argued that gnomes could move through solid earth and rock with the same ease that fish move through water. Our word gnome comes from the Greek term genomos, which translates directly to earth dweller. Over time, the definition shifted from a literal spirit of the earth to a more generalized fairy or dwarf figure in European folklore. By the 19th century, the word attached itself to the bearded statues people placed in their gardens. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about garden gnomes. Number 1. Ancient Romans had their own version of a gnome, placing protective statues in their gardens, and many people today still hold on to superstitious beliefs about gnomes. The ancient Romans created what we might consider the ancestors of our whimsical modern gnomes. They placed statues of rustic gods in their outdoor spaces to protect orchards, gardens, and livestock. People carved these small figures out of wood or stone to ward off thieves and agricultural pests. These early garden guardians were traditionally painted red and carried a small sickle to symbolize a bountiful harvest. The practice of placing protective deities among crops spread throughout the Roman Empire, and historians viewed these functional agricultural statues as the earliest conceptual ancestors of the modern garden gnome. Today, people still hold superstitious beliefs regarding gnomes. Some gardeners swear that placing a gnome in your yard ensures a healthy harvest, but only if the owner treats the statue with respect. According to folklore, neglecting a gnome or purposely damaging the ceramic figure invites misfortune, such as ruined crops or even property damage. Owners have to clean their statues regularly and position them facing the garden beds to maintain their protective benefits. Number 2. The modern garden gnome originated in a small German mining town in the 19th century. A ceramic artist named Philipp Griebel began producing terracotta figurines in a town of Gräfenroda in 1874. He shaped the clay into small bearded men and fired them in a kiln. Then he hand-painted the statues with vibrant pigments before selling them at local markets. His creations quickly became a staple in German gardens and spread rapidly throughout the rest of Europe. Gräfenroda sits in a region of Germany known for its extensive mining history. These early statues capitalized on regional folklore passed down by the miners regarding underground creatures that assisted people with the hard work. Griebel's company still exists today and continues to produce traditional ceramic gnomes using his original 19th century molds. Number 3. The world's largest garden gnome is over 25 feet tall. In 1998, a Canadian man named Ron Hale constructed a massive statue to promote his family's amusement park. The figure, affectionately named Howard, is 25 feet 11 inches tall from his boots to the tip of his red hat. In 2009, the Guinness World Records officially recognized it as the largest garden gnome in the world. And taking care of such a massive gnome is no small feat. It requires routine structural maintenance to withstand the harsh Canadian weather. Volunteers recently dismantled Howard and transported him to a new location on a local farm after the amusement park closed. A team of restorative artists repaired the damaged exterior and applied a fresh coat of industrial-grade paint. Howard now stands safely on a concrete pad where tourists frequently stop to take photographs. Number 4. Garden Gnome's fashion is based on the traditional safety gear of medieval European miners. When we see gnomes, they're pretty much always dressed in a variation of the same outfit. One of the most eye-catching figures is the big, pointy red hat. That famous red pointed hat actually served as an early version of a hard hat for workers navigating low-clearance tunnels back in the Middle Ages. Miners would stuff the tall fabric cones with straw or cloth to cushion their heads against falling rocks. The bright red color would help the workers be able to see each other in the dim candlelight of their dark underground tunnels. The pointed shape also helped to direct dripping groundwater away from the miners' faces and shoulders. And the rest of the gnome wardrobe is also a reflection of historical mining garments. The heavy leather boots provided essential traction on slippery rocks and protection from heavy metal equipment. And the thick belts allowed miners to hang tools directly on their waists while keeping their hands free to climb ladders. And our fifth and final fun fact for today. People used to prank their neighbors by taking their garden gnomes on vacation, and this actually became so widespread it inspired a major corporate advertising campaign. In the 1980s, people began taking their neighbors' yard gnomes on international vacations without permission. They would photograph the statues in front of famous landmarks and mail the pictures back to the owners. The phenomenon became known as the traveling gnome prank and spread across multiple continents. Law enforcement agencies often struggled to classify the crimes, and the perpetrators usually just returned the statues unharmed, so in the end, most people just kind of laughed it off. The travel booking site Travelocity adapted the concept for their marketing campaign in 2004. They launched a series of TV commercials featuring a roaming gnome who provided customers with travel advice. The campaign significantly increased the company's sales and cemented the roaming gnome as a fixture in pop culture. The company actually continues to use the character as its primary brand mascot even 2 decades later. Now for some news you can use. If you want to keep your gnomes or other outdoor statues looking like new, apply a UV-resistant clear coat of polyurethane spray at the start of every spring. First, you're going to want to wash the statue with warm water, a few drops of mild dish soap, and a soft bristled brush to remove any dirt or algae. Allow the statue to dry completely. Put it out in the sun for a full 24 hours to make sure that no moisture is remaining on the surface. But once it is dry, hold the can of clear coat about 8 inches away and apply a thin, even layer over the entire figure. This works because the clear coat acts as a physical barrier against the elements, both the ones you can see and those you can't. Ultraviolet rays from the sun rapidly break down the chemical bonds in standard acrylic paints, leading to faded colors and chalky textures. Also, unsealed concrete and resin statues have microscopic pores that absorb rainwater. When the temperature drops below freezing, that trapped water expands, which causes the paint to flake and the statue to crack. But an annual clear coat will seal it and protect against that kind of damage, keeping your garden gnome looking like new for decades. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if an underground organization actually formed to steal lawn gnomes and release them into the forest. Believe it or not, that's a fact. In 1997, a group calling itself the Garden Gnome Liberation Front formed in France. The organization declared that garden gnomes were being held against their will and forced to stand outside in harsh weather without compensation. Group members executed midnight raids on residential gardens, stealing the statues and placing them in heavily wooded areas. Over a few years, the group claimed responsibility for, quote, freeing more than 9,000 gnomes. The movement became so widespread it even spawned copycat factions in Germany and Italy. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about garden gnomes with me today, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.